Coming up this week on All About Android, we talk about Android slices, finally seeing some movement there. We go all about Android Jetpack with Mike Wolfson, FXtec Pro 1, the Punkt MP02, the Oppo F11 Pro, and other phones that sound weird when you say them out loud, a new Google Glass, episode search in Google Podcasts, and a whole lot more. All About Android is next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This episode of All About Android is brought to you by ZipRecruiter. Hiring can be challenging, but there's one place you can go where hiring is simple, fast, and smart. A place where growing businesses connect to qualified candidates. That place is ZipRecruiter.com/Android. And by LegalZoom. Check out LegalZoom today to see how they can make life better for you and your business. Visit LegalZoom.com and enter AAA at checkout for special savings. And by ExpressVPN. Protect your online privacy with one click. Yes, it's that easy. For 3 extra months free with a 1-year package, go to expressvpn.com/allaboutandroid. Hello and welcome to All About Android, episode 410, recorded on Tuesday, March 5th, 2019. Your weekly source for latest news, hardware, and apps for the Android faithful. I'm Jason Howell.
And I'm Florence Ion.
Hello, Flo.
Hello, Jason.
What's up? No Ron today, once again.
Unfortunately.
And he is forgiven. But we have in his place Mike Wolfson returning to the table in studio. How you doing, Mike?
I'm super good. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. It's awesome to get you in here, especially in studio. You're in town. By the way, for those who don't recognize Mike, usually you come on around Google I.O. time, and I'm hoping we will still get you on around Google I.O. time.
Let's hope together.
But you come into town. You're a Google developer expert, GDE, and apparently you're speaking tomorrow at a Google developer group on the topic of machine learning and bias in AI.
No big whoop.
Tell us a little bit about that. What's that all about?
Tomorrow I am speaking at Google Developer Group Silicon Valley at the Googleplex, which is super exciting. And I'm speaking about the subject of human-centered machine learning, which is a method for thinking about how we handle machine learning systems to manage bias and help all the people that are underprivileged be represented by the machines in a more open,
equitable way. Yeah.
So super important, super exciting.
Yeah, very timely right now. I feel like we hear a lot about this topic. And AI, AI is just undergoing, on one hand, explosive growth, and on the other hand, people are looking at AI and realizing the power and the benefit and the potential that could come from it, but also the many ways that, hey, if we need to future think and correct this 10 steps down the line, we need to think about these things now, and bias, of course, is one of those.
Yeah,
aspects.
So Elon Musk, I guess I don't even need to use his last name, made a quote that basically said, machine learning is going to happen. It can either go well or it can go bad, and so we should make sure that we're in charge and make sure that it goes well.
Yeah.
Because it's going to happen, so let's make sure that the end is positive, not negative. We're in control of that, so
let's make sure the end is not nigh.
Right.
Well, that's awesome. So that's tomorrow. Something I'm sure you're looking forward to. It's great to have you in the Bay Area to visit us. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
Sorry it's raining.
Yeah, I know.
This actually happens sometimes.
For once, we will not have a drought this year. So, thumbs up there. Before we get into the news, I thought I would just throw a tweet in here. Ron Amadio on Twitter tweeted out over the weekend a reminder to say we are on high alert.
High alert.
For the Android Q developer preview this week. If you remember, Android P came out March 7th. That is a year ago, 2 days from now. So it is entirely possible that sometime this week, if Google follows the same release trajectory as they did last year with the Android P developer preview, which was an early preview on March 7th, we could see Android Q. And I kind of would not be surprised. I feel like already we're, XDA and a few other people, it seems like, have a version of Android Q. There's something floating out there right now.
Hiroshi's making quiche jokes on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, they're ramping it up.
No big deal.
I think so, too. It seems like they are now on a regular schedule where they actually are aligned to release at least, around I.O., at least, the formal releases. So seems like they finally have like a yearly release cycle that they're following.
Does it take any of the fun out of it though? Because it's like,
No.
I think so many people will.
Oh no, I'm wondering if it takes the fun out of it for you.
No, it's still new toys.
Yeah,
Still
new.
regardless of when we get
Still
them.
totally new.
And it's kind of nice to get it in the springtime because it's like the flowers are blooming, the software's blooming. It's like, new things.
Exactly. Everything's blooming. Even Android. Android is blooming this time of year.
Android rain showers bring Android flowers.
Something like that.
Or to make that
Mechanical flowers.
Sure.
So anyways, you'll probably know before us, this might be one of those things where we publish the podcast tonight and then tomorrow morning it's already outdated.
Why do you got to put that
released.
out there?
I'm just a realist as far as that's concerned. And Wednesday tends to be a big day for the launch of things like this. So let us know if you happen to see it. AAA@twit.tv. And with that, Victor, it is time to jump into the news.
We're always on high alert because Android news is always blooming.
Yeah, it is.
Nice.
Very nice.
It is.
Android news is blooming today. Blooming with the news that Slices, speaking of I.O., if you remember Slices, remember that old thing?
We talked a lot about it. We talked a lot about it last year. We also talked about it, remember when we interviewed the folks at Google? Mm-hmm. We talked about
they had a
Slices.
lot to say about it.
Yes.
At Google I.O., and then we kind of heard nothing about it. It was just one of those. And every I.O. it's this way where, they make a number of announcements on stage. Some of them you see immediately. Some of them come a few days or a few weeks, maybe a few months later. And then there's a couple of those old scragglers that they're like, oh, well, we finally got there. We got there in just enough time. Slices is one of those.
It's because they did the duplex demo. I think if they hadn't done that, then
things would have been different. Priorities would have shifted.
Yeah. I think they really measured how much that would be talked about and how everything else would just kind of fly by everybody's head.
I don't know how you set that up around duplex though and not think, oh, people are going to be, have a strong reaction.
Let's show you a demo. On to the next thing. Wait, what?
I mean, talk about like biases and things to think about, as far as that's concerned. But anyways, Slices, if you don't remember what that was, because it has been a long enough time, it's a way for apps to put components of their apps within search results, or rather the Google search app would pull in kind of slices, as they call it, or pieces of apps that you might have installed on your phone that are more interactive within the Google app search results. So Google announced this initially at Google I.O. last year. Then they touched on it again in November during their hardware announcement. They said that it would begin to appear in the coming months. Now it appears that this is actually happening. There are slices for settings that are appearing in the Pixel phones. Let me see if I can do, let's see here, Bluetooth.
Bluetooth.
Did you see something appear there and then go away? So there, Bluetooth. Here, if you show my overhead, Bluetooth, and I see it, I get my little kind of switch in the results appears there.
Okay.
Although if I add another O to tooth, at least last time when I spelt it out entirely, it disappeared. But now it's sticking around.
So what happens if
Bluetooth.
you tap on it?
So if I tap on it, it just acts as the switch, or it'll take me through to my Bluetooth settings, I believe, if I tap on the heading.
So they basically
Although slowly, because my
Bluetooth,
phone is so slow.
Yeah, about that.
Really?
That's a side note.
Is that a thing?
About
I just assumed that was mine.
No,
I heard
also
that the P3 has a new fix out and that it was much better performance.
Yeah, I had some
Samsung
users note how slow my phone looked to them.
I mean, it's been really bad.
Make sure to update.
My phone has been super.
Release specifically deals with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's another one. I did a search for alarm in the Google search app, and it pulls back alarm volume with a slider.
Okay, so basically the alarm setting and the Bluetooth setting, it's like a slice because the slice exists inside the notification panel or inside the search bar.
Inside the settings app.
The setting.
It's essentially, right? Like there are slices from the settings app that are being imported into the Google app search results.
Okay, so the slices are just basically, being imported into, it's like taking a slice of pizza from one plate to another. Right, or from the main plate.
It's
taking a slice of pizza from the main plate, right, from the main box, and putting it on a plate and giving it to somebody.
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
that's
the metaphor we're going with.
Other slices of pizza. Sure, that works.
Well, the Bluetooth setting is a slice of pizza from the box of pizza, which is the settings panel.
Bluetooth settings is the Canadian bacon and pineapple slice that we are bringing into the pepperoni pizza that is the Google search app. Yeah, that's exactly it.
You complicated. Adding pineapple, like, why did you do that?
I don't know, because I don't like pineapple on pizza. But anyways, as the resident developer today,
how do you feel?
Is this worth the work? Is it a lot of work?
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's a lot of work, and the answer to is it worth the work is if you have the use case that you need to expose that for. So if I have a reason that I want to expose some sort of functionality into search results, then heck yes, it's worth the work, because I'm going to be able to surface that functionality right up. Like, my goal is to get my functionality to the user as quickly as possible.
And as a user, I want to use the search engine. I don't want to have to.
Yeah. So I mean, I expect it probably is not that complicated. It's probably very limited. You can probably only do a button or certain things. But if I have a reason that it would be useful to get my functionality exposed in the search bar, that would be great. And it's definitely worth it. And any way I can expose my my app functionality outside of the app is also useful in notifications or
and
widgets.
You're also reminding the user that app is installed, right? So many people install these apps and then they forget about them and they're left to
But that's also
rot
the beauty
in the
of
app
that's
tray.
also the beauty of Android is that there's a lot of apps that just kind of become a part of the system.
Yeah.
Versus existing as this individualistic thing. I wonder what kind of apps this is going to spurn in the Play Store. Like what kind of fun community apps will come out of this
that will be
binder of slices.
Appear.
Yeah, or just like here are slices you can install to do common utility things,
Well, yeah, I mean, so it would be an app that contained slices to be inserted.
Okay.
I know that sounds filled with
so.
slices.
I know that sounds so, but
that would be a pizza
But
app,
I'm curious,
right? Because it would be full of slices. Yeah. I don't know why we're going back to the pizza metaphor.
Because it was a good metaphor until you brought the pineapple in.
Sorry. You're right. My mistake.
It could be a pie, just like Victor said. And that was the whole point of Slices coming out with Android Pie was we should have gone with that metaphor. Pizza is a pie. Pizza is a pie.
It's true. It's a different type of pie.
Yes.
But it is nonetheless. This is news that affects potentially all of us.
It especially affects me because I drive myself to these things. So speaking of I/O and developer things, Google I/O 2019 will be a no parking event.
No parking.
According to the I/O site. Now, those of you who are not from the Bay Area might be like, what's the big deal, Flo? Like, this is so good for the environment, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, those of you who have been to Google I/O in Mountain View know that the area that this is in is not exactly the most transit friendly. Add to that, the streets around it are, they get very crowded during rush hour. And so it's hard just to get to the venue like in the morning, when you need to do the keynote and all that. So this decision has been made to help reduce traffic congestion and CO2 emissions. There will be off-site parking 13 miles away at the Avaya Stadium in San Jose, which shuttle service to the shoreline, which is this just I don't want to make this my platform for complaining because it could be very easy for me. So let me get through the facts. So Google will be partnering with Lyft, naturally, Lyft. They're Google's investor in Lyft for free shared service with the code IO2019. And we'll do something similar with Uber Pool for those folks who are coming in. There will also be complimentary bike parking with valet if you are going to take any of there is one light rail thing that goes through. I think Caltrain is nearby. And then there will be free use of Lime electric scooters and bikes. And if you know the area, if you've been to Google I/O, because it is the quote unquote shoreline area, there are bike routes and it is it is pedestrian friendly in a sense. But it's just a bummer for those of us who are not staying near the venue and who are.
Because you're driving in and then driving home, is that right?
Well, I think I'm going to have to
get a hotel.
Get a hotel.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'm going yet. So
I think I'm going to bring a bike
really
to the hotel and just bike there. Yeah, if they've got bike valet.
Should we do a bike challenge for Google I/O this year? Maybe.
Sure.
I feel like
I mean, parking 13 miles away and then taking a shuttle
San Jose
really does not sound fun to me.
It's not 13 miles away is pretty far during morning rush hour. That can be up to half an hour.
Oh, that could be more than a half an hour.
All
yeah,
right.
Depending on where.
Remember, the Bay Area is LA. We have the exact same traffic. It doesn't matter what anybody says. Like, we have the exact same gridlocking. It's the same thing in the morning. It's red and black all over Google Maps. So I understand how this is supposed to supposedly fix things, but as a local, I'm annoyed.
Yeah.
Because but you know what? I'll make it work.
Yeah, maybe it's not meant to fix things. Maybe it's just meant to make certain aspects of it better, even though it's less convenient.
I think
you know what I mean?
it's to reduce congestion around the area because it was getting kind of, it was kind of ridiculous.
It gets really clogged up.
It's kind of hard to get home.
How do you feel about this? You're coming in from out of state.
So I always rent a car when I go to Google I/O, and I actually frequently drive to Shoreline as well, which I like to do. I generally get like 4 or 5 people. It used to be you can only carpool.
Right.
But I loved it. Throw my goodies in the car in the middle, maybe even go sneak away, take a little nap if I'm feeling a little tired. So I don't think this is going to be very good. I'm going to leave super early because the first day of I/O, you're anxious. You want to get to the keynote early,
make sure
get a
you
good
don't miss
seat.
it. Yeah.
So there's going to be tons of gridlock. There's going to be tons of cars, and it's not going to be very fast. So,
or maybe there won't be. Maybe Google has done its homework, but yeah, there's probably going to be.
I'm sure they did their homework. I mean, how many years have they been in Mountain View?
Yeah,
over there
I think
dealing
this is the 4th year or 3rd year.
This would be...
No, I mean, how many years is the HQ?
they've lived
But
there.
like, how many years have they have they been in the South Bay to know?
Yeah. Traffic patterns.
It's an annoying logistics thing. So that's why we're bringing it up.
Yeah.
But
you know, part of me is kind of looking forward to biking there too, because I have come at the hotel that I've stayed the last couple of years. Both times I come out of the building and there's a couple of Google bikes hanging out there on the sidewalk.
That
and
happened
I've
to me
thought about it.
last
I've
year.
been like, well, why don't I just do that? That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Like, that sounds like a fun way to start the morning. Bike into the Google.
That happened to me last year. I was running late, and I was going to walk. It was a 1.5 mile walk.
Yeah.
I was running late, and I got right to the bike, to the path. There was a Google bike waiting for me right there.
Yeah.
And it
You're
was
like,
just
heck
it was
yeah.
meant
Somebody
to be.
who
It was
dumped it that
beautiful.
morning, it just was like perfectly dumped for you.
Yes, it was
to
meant
catch
to
at
be.
that time.
You just hop on and let's roll.
I mean, it'll be interesting.
Yeah. You know what? I'm sure it'll be fine. At the end of the day, it's going to be a beautiful day, right? It's going to be beautiful outside. You could just walk. Maybe
It
not.
will be though, unless it's still raining.
Yeah, I don't
is
think it's going to be raining
possible.
then, which I
Well,
suppose
you
is
say
possible,
that, but I had a couple My birthdays, remember that week is my birthday, and
That's
I've
true.
had a couple birthdays growing up here that it's rained.
Okay. Fair enough. So Mike, Mike, you're a developer. We were talking a little bit before the show, and I was like, God, I want something that you can sink your teeth into, because we are not developers.
No.
And so sometimes things come up, topics come up on the show, and we just have to trust what we read. You're in the weeds. You're fighting the battle.
You're
the
in the
developer
grass,
battle.
catching the Pokemon.
And so we talked a little bit before the show about something that you could kind of talk about or demystify or whatever. And you brought up Android Jetpack, which Jetpack, speaking of last year's I/O, was something that was announced then. We definitely talked about it in our interview with the Google executives. We spent some time on Jetpack. It's all coming back to me now. But you mentioned maybe demystifying this a little bit.
Yeah.
What is Android Jetpack exactly?
And will it make us blast off?
So I don't know if it'll make you blast off, and I actually don't know if
Possible.
I hope this is useful for the audience.
Sure.
But I know we will continue to hear about Jetpack. Basically, Jetpack is the equivalent of AppCompat. And AppCompat was basically a additional library that developers would add to their Android apps that would allow us to backport a bunch of functionality. So when Android ships on a phone, it's not very frequently updated. So Google doesn't have an opportunity to put all their new functionality, all their goodness out on those phones. So they created something called the Support Lib, which was designed to backport this functionality, and then developers add that to their code, and then we can basically include all this newer code on older phones. Mm-hmm. Jetpack is just the next evolution of app compat. So I actually don't really know why Google did it, but I can tell you a little bit what the end result is. So the way that app compat was delivered,
I think right off the top they did it because Jetpack's a cooler name than app compat.
Also, Jetpack has a really awesome logo that is very easy to draw, almost as easy to draw as the Bug Droid guy. So there's a lot to be said for that logo for sure. Basically, Jetpack is app compat that's been renamed to Jetpack. So
I see.
I don't
like emoji compat.
Maybe so. Yeah.
Is it like the same idea? Because emoji compat was introduced. Sorry, I'm interrupting you.
No, you're not.
But I'm just thinking about it out loud. Emoji compat was introduced to help the emojis all look alike on different versions of Android. So I'm assuming that the app compat would be the same,
but with app
idea,
features.
but for app things, for app needs.
Features.
So I can give you an example. So Jetpack is all the goodness that Google has that they add on after the fact. And they've actually started pulling more of their functionality into Jetpack in this third-party library or this external library and not put it as much in the OS itself because it's so much easier to send this out. And so they used to have all of the app compat libraries were released at a single time. So they're numbered, and this is kind of important in a second. So the way that we release software is we have major, minor, and release versions, 27.1.1.
Sure.
And then the next version is 28 or whatever. Currently, app compat is 28.0.0 or something. And all of those libraries are released as a single package. So there's something called Work Manager, which was just released today, and that allows us to do a bunch of backgrounding stuff. And then the material design components, and all this stuff that was all packaged together into app compat. So when they wanted to release a new version of app compat, they had to release 29.0.0, and they had to release everything together, which is super complicated to release software in that, that kind of way with, rolling up all these things. So Jetpack has actually been, the versioning number is 1.0.0. So, and they've also broken out all those packages from app compat, so they're all released individually. So no longer does material design components need to be released when app compat is released. It's released independent.
Well, that follows the theme, especially from last year, where even apps were being broken apart as far as updates were concerned.
Sounds like slices.
Google, yeah, exactly. Google, and I feel like I remember them mentioning that, right?
Yeah.
Like that a large part of what Android Pie was about was kind of connecting a lot of these things, and allowing things,
maybe,
making it so that individual pieces could happen, could be updated or moved
like
around or whatever the case
like
may
a
be,
PC.
instead of everything at once, because that collective kind of approach can be very limiting, can be very, can be a hindrance.
Yep. So that's basically it. It's just a kind of marketing of app compat. I don't know if it means anything to a consumer, really.
Well, yeah, because it sounds like users would just see what they would see. It's just the developers either had to work more or less to get it there, so that the users do see what they see.
An important thing that you just said about developers working more or less.
Yeah.
So part of Jetpack is a new generation of Android development,
right?
Which I don't need to get too deep into, but they've released some things called architecture components and lifecycle observers, which is language that you don't really need to know. But the thing that you do need to know is that they're releasing a bunch of tools that make Android developers' lives so much easier. They handle a lot of really complicated things that we've had to handle like our whole lives, like rotating the screen. When Android rotates the screen, it's a whole bunch of work for developers to maintain state. So a lot of things like that are now handled for us automatically as part of Jetpack, as part of these new components that they've released, which makes developers' lives so much better, and will also make the app so much better, because when the screen rotates, they're going to maintain state or different things like that. So
weird oddities happening, and what you're talking about, simplifying like that, falls in line also with the last couple of years. Kotlin has made its kind of transition, has been officially anointed, let's say, by Google. How does this interplay with Kotlin as far as that's
quite a bit? So it's all part of the same. So Kotlin Kotlin isn't exclusive on Android, but it's almost really like the next gen. And all these tools have really been designed to interop with Kotlin specifically and taking advantage of some of those new language constructs. So it's all kind of, I mean, in the last 2 years, Android development has changed drastically and gotten much easier.
That's awesome.
Which is great because it's not been easy historically.
You as a longer term Android developer, you probably stand to benefit from the fact that things were really difficult before and are now much easier, right?
Right.
It's almost
For
like that supercharges you as a developer versus someone coming in now and things are just easy. You know, it's almost like I had to walk uphill to, 10 blocks in the snow.
But that's like starting in the beginning when HTML, you had to like write everything out. And now you have style sheets to like do the, but because it just does the magic for you. It just makes it a little easier. And then as these things get better and better, they become more dynamic. And then the applications that we have are just better. They're just better for the user in the end when this stuff is nicely organized.
Sure.
It's KonMari method. Sorry, I could relate everything to that. I'm just kidding.
What is KonMari?
It was, the joy.
Oh, the joy.
Anyway,
okay, I didn't realize that was the name of it.
I keep hitting that joke into
That's okay. My family has started watching that show now. And I'm
good luck.
I'm looking into the future of our household.
You're about to be cleaning when the sun comes out. Anyway, how do you feel about? Do you feel like this is making your life easier?
I do, and I love it. So, I don't have any, ownership of being, Android's hard, and I'm, good at it.
Yeah, Android's hard.
I don't want that at all. My job is hard enough, so the easier they can make it, the better. Yeah. And the new tools really do save a lot, just help a lot. It's just the sophistication of software, right? I mean,
exactly.
Right. It's just... all things are easier.
And that's all found in Android Studio, right? It's all
Android Studio drives it all, so Android Studio is a purpose-built IDE just for Android, so the integration points are really good.
Exactly.
They have what's coming, and this isn't something I'm particularly interested in, but they have a visual design tool where you can, in iOS, you use storyboards to kind of drag things and pull things together, and that's kind of the next generation of Android Studio.
Very design focused.
Yeah.
Very design focused, right? Compared to well, even like the Apple method was design focused, and now to have a way where you can kind of scratch pad your interface, I mean, that's cool. Now I want to build apps. I don't even know how.
Even you can build an app, Flo.
I know, but I don't even know what to put out there. It would just be
That's the hardest part, is coming up with an idea.
Yes, right.
It should just be an app of me. Like, here's me just waving at you. It's just
well, you could do that.
I could. I just program a.
I don't know how many people would download it, but your family and friends would.
At least 10. At least I could get at least 10 people.
Yes. Your family and friends would download that app. Thank you. That's awesome.
Yes.
I love that. I love getting some insight into things that I think we probably take for granted. Like, I've heard about Jetpack a number of times, but now I understand it, and I really appreciate your walkthrough on that.
It's literally a power suite.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
It's a power suite for Android.
Yeah. Let's take a break and thank the sponsor of this episode, and then we will get into a pretty stocked hardware block. This episode of All About Android is brought to you by ZipRecruiter. Hiring used to be hard. Maybe it is still hard for you, but it doesn't have to be. Multiple job sites, stacks of resumes, a confusing review process, so many elements to finding the right hire for your business. But today, hiring can be easy, and you only have to go to one place to get it done. And of course, that place is ziprecruiter.com/Android. ZipRecruiter sends your job to over 100 of the web's leading job boards, but that's not all that they do. With their powerful matching technology, ZipRecruiter scans thousands of resumes to find people with the right experience and invite them to apply to your job. As applications then come in, ZipRecruiter can analyze each one and spotlight the top candidates so that you never have to miss a great match. You never happen to miss a great match. Nothing falls through the cracks. ZipRecruiter is watching for you. ZipRecruiter is so effective that 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. And they just make it easy. You go through the process, you go through the site, everything's laid out. It's sensible. And when you have a system as powerful as ZipRecruiter that knows how to match perfectly for your job, I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's going to take time out of your hands, and so you can put it to other things that you need to do to run your business. And right now, All About Android listeners can try ZipRecruiter for free at our exclusive web address. You just go to ziprecruiter.com/Android. Show your support for this show and ZipRecruiter by going to ziprecruiter.com/Android. That one more time, that's ziprecruiter.com/Android. ZipRecruiter is the smartest way to hire. So check it out for yourself, and you will realize that too when we thank ZipRecruiter for their support of this show. And now it's time for some hardware. Not the easy wear. This stuff's hard. Especially the hardware in this episode.
Yeah, it's like
weirdness going on
programming
here.
an Android pre-Kotlin.
Yeah, pre-Jetpack.
Nice.
Yeah.
This is like super hard. This is like pre-Kotlin, pre-Jetpack.
I don't know how hard this is. This is definitely just an interesting way to try and bring back something that very few people have asked for, which is a fold-out QWERTY keyboard. Oh. Yes, if you've been just really missing the days of the keyboard in your pocket, this might be an Android phone for you. This is the FX10 Pro 1. Yes. Excuse me, the FXtec Pro 1.
Yeah, the name doesn't really roll off the tongue.
Doesn't
and
really,
when you read it, it's kind of confusing too. So
the FXtec Pro 1, it's a $650 phone with a fold-out landscape hardware keyboard for your thumbs to go crazy over. The screen sits at an angle when it's folded out, kind of like the way those PDAs used to back in the 90s. It also has a retro, quote-unquote, camera shutter button and a headphone jack, which some might call is courageous.
Some might call it courageous, but totally retro.
But totally retro. Unless you're
retro
Samsung,
tech.
then it's just,
Then
oh my
it's just
God.
business as usual.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So some of the specs on this, if it's something that interests you, this is a 5.99-inch Full HD Plus AMOLED display, Snapdragon 835, 6 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of storage, dual 12-megapixel cameras, an 8-megapixel front camera, and a 3200 milliamp battery, in addition to a fingerprint sensor on the side, which is kind of a fad in some phones these days. So the hardware inside maybe doesn't sound too bad. I don't know. I mean, you have to try one of these things before you buy one of these things. But a fun fact, the FXtec co-founder Liang Chen had designed a $99 slider keyboard Moto Mod that was shown off at CES 2018. That's last year, though it never actually made it to market. So the Pro 1 is basically the same thing, but with a phone attached to it that is not made by Moto. So proceed to how you will. To this.
It looks really satisfying to flip out that keyboard.
I was going to say that.
Anytime there's like a little flip action, like
100%. I
don't know if I need it, but I know that would be fun to be like, or I guess you'd be more like this. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of neat to have a landscape. It really reminds me of the Droid, the original Droid, because that was a landscape keyboard,
including what looks like a really bad keyboard. That is that flat style. That's hard to. That was not a good keyboard on that original Droid.
I agree. I did not
try
like
having long nails with these things. It's
impossible. I have to imagine it's impossible.
Which bums me out because I was such a avid, I don't know, the QWERTY phones that they came out with during the texting ages, they were, like the keyboards on those, they were really small, but they were so perfect for people like me with long nails because our thumb pads could hit them without hitting other keys.
Oh, so were they more spaced, or how did they?
You know
pull
what?
that
I'm
off?
gonna bring the phone in next week and show you what I'm talking about,
Okay.
because I want people to see what I could bring up the phone now, but I'm not gonna derail us.
Okay.
But it was the perfect size, and I miss those days. Like
Yeah.
I would gladly take that back, even if it adds a bit of thickness to the phone.
Do you want a QWERTY keyboard on your phone?
The other thing is, I don't know if I want one because now my phone is so much like I actually do a lot of stuff through the browser window now, like messaging, actual messaging. I have like long messages with people through messages and WhatsApp. So
You mean on your computer?
yeah, through the browser window.
Oh, I see. So syncing your phone over so you're not even touching your phone. you are using a keyboard. It happens to be your
but you
laptop.
know, it would be nice because autocorrect these days is just so sensitive. It would be nice to have that, you know, when I'm just ideating and.
Yeah. Although, but when the keyboard's that small, like your autocorrect's still going to be.
I used to live journal from my phone.
Wow.
So.
Okay. Well, that's dedication.
With that QWERTY keyboard. So that's my benchmark.
All right.
Yes. By the way, sorry, related. The full keyboard, the full MotoMod keyboard is actually a real product, and you will be able to buy it for $100.
That was the post from last year.
Oh, sorry.
That was the post from last year, which I find actually really
that.
interesting.
I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. I find it really interesting, though, that at one point last year, it was like, here's the thing, it's going to exist. I always want to know the story behind it. Like, why did that suddenly not exist if they were
so
at
now they're going to
CES
sell
showing
one
it
for
off?
$650.
Instead, what it became, it seems like, is FXtec's Pro 1 release. Because they look very similar if you compare this to the MotoMod. They're very, very similar. So, I don't know. Full QWERTY keyboard, yay or nay?
Yay, I do want it. I think that the phones are not going to work very well in landscape because what I was talking about a second ago with rotating the devices. It used to be maybe 3 years ago, it really mattered if your phone worked in landscape or not. And now most apps are locked in portrait.
Yep.
And I think we're going to revert to that problem because once we got rid of keyboards, we didn't need to rotate the phones as much. So I think you're going to have a lot of problems with landscape mode on that device.
I only rotate it when I use Android Auto. That's the only time I rotate the phone.
Right. And sometimes it just, you don't know what you're going to get when you rotate the phone.
It's because
Is it going to rotate? Is it not?
It's easier to thumb in the portrait mode. It's very hard to thumb when it's like elongated like that.
Yeah, you're kind of reaching over a little bit more. How about a phone that does less for you?
Okay, but the name of this phone, though. The name of this phone is...
We're used to these phones doing so much for us. What if we want our phones to do less?
Phone is
will
so
it actually
cool.
make a difference? This is the Punkt. That's Punkt. Punkt MP02. It's a small... Yes, minimalist Android device. It calls, it texts,
Heck yeah, it
does
is
alarms.
minimalist.
It kind of just looks like a calculator, actually. There are no indicators on the display as far as like things like battery percentage or signal strength until it's an issue. So it's like it's not overwhelming you with all this information that you don't need.
You don't need to know that.
But if your battery
really.
is low, then it will appear and it will say, hey, battery is low. So that could be a good or bad thing if you don't know that you're not charged up enough and then you go out and then you realize 2 seconds later that you needed to charge. You're typing in T9, so talk about retro tech. If you want to type out to your live journal, you're going to punch that out in T9 on this thing.
LiveJournal is owned by a Russian company now, so I don't know.
So you probably won't be doing that. 2-inch monochrome screen, as you can see. Monochrome. Hey. No bells, no whistles, okay? Snapdragon 219, 4G capable, voice over LTE capable as well. It can act as a hotspot, so if you really need, that internet juice for something that can do more than this can, you can do it. 16 gigs of storage. Apparently that storage is off limits, so they like giving you things and not letting you use it. And it's not capable of installing apps on it. So this is just you've been punked if you're using this thing.
This looks exactly like 12 other phones that I have on my wish list on AliExpress.com. There's so many
good phones?
No, there's so many of these like credit card sized phones on AliExpress that you can buy for like $20 to $50, whatever.
Oh, okay.
That are just like this simplistic, and you just pop a SIM card in them, and they do like 12 basic things.
Well, I've got one for you. $20, $50. How about How about you get this fine piece of technology for $350?
No. You are better buying an old OnePlus for that money than buying this.
But maybe
$300.
Maybe if you buy a OnePlus, your tech addiction can't help but pull you into those apps and all of those other features. What do you think, Mike? $350 for a Punkt phone?
That is really expensive.
It's not punk. That is not punk at all. That's the other thing.
Punked. I think that's what it means.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Maybe it's like going to be some sort of status thing. Like you're so cool that you don't have a smartphone anymore.
The only status thing
Could that
is,
be?
Yeah, could be.
It's literally Apple or Samsung. That's the only status we have in this day and age. Like,
I don't know. There's a little tech backlash. People are pushing back on it. They're like,
look,
you know
there's
what?
an ant on me.
I don't. Oh,
That's why I was tickling.
yeah. Isn't it weird?
There's an
when you
ant
get a
that
little
came
ant crawling?
with me from home.
Oh no! Now that ant's gonna spread.
I have
here.
ants in my bathroom, by the way. Anyway,
It's the worst.
It is.
You've been
for
punked
water.
in your bathroom.
They're looking
it
for
sounds
water.
like.
That's why.
So no one's gonna buy the punked phone for $350.
No,
at
that's
this
too
table.
much money. Now I feel like I have ants all
curious.
over me. Ugh.
I'm curious. But yeah, I'm not buying it either. Okay.
Okay. We have another phone to talk
We have
about.
another one.
This one comes from a OnePlus cousin named Oppo. So Oppo's announced the F11 Pro. It is not a race car. It is actually a phone with a pop-up selfie cam and no notch. So those who really liked the little trend that Oppo started last year with their popping up phones, here's, I guess, a second gen revival of it. So the F11 Pro, for some specs, we've got a 6.53 inch 1080p bezel-less display with no notch. That's a big darn screen. Pop-up selfie camera. That
course.
selfie camera is does not say in our notes.
I may not have put the full specs in there. It's all good.
That's okay. But it does have a
It exists.
MediaTek
That's all you need to know.
Helio P70 processor.
Oh, hot.
4 or 6 gigs of RAM, 4,000 milliamp battery, which is a heck of a lot of battery. Rear fingerprint, although that screen is really big. Rear fingerprint sensor, which you're probably gonna like. Headphone jack and micro USB.
Yeah, that's a little. I feel like nothing should be micro USB anymore.
It's 2019.
Kind of feels that way.
Oh, goodness. Okay, no pricing or availability yet, but I mean, does it matter?
I mean,
Because it's micro USB.
It's definitely a mid-range phone. So maybe if maybe we are still seeing micro USBs. I'm just so used to seeing USB-C at this
this is
point
the
that
pop-up-
it's hard to go back.
So this is the pop-up selfie camera for the mid to low-end market.
Yeah.
So for those who want the satisfaction of popping up a camera, this would be a phone geared towards you if you didn't live in the U.S.
Yeah.
Basically. So also speaking of Oppo's cousins, the OnePlus 7 leaked images, already leaking apparently, pop-up camera
On the OnePlus 7.
on the OnePlus 7.
Whoa.
So
That
no
would be an
notch.
interesting direction for OnePlus, I feel like.
The Oppo F series has been a pretty good indicator of what to expect in the next OnePlus. Remember, they are cousins, and as a testament to me and my cousins do look alike.
That's true.
The genes are strong between cousins.
Do you worry that pop-up camera is just going to be totally a problem and stop popping up
I
soon?
do worry.
Or break
Yeah.
off? Or
But I've never had one of these pop-up camera phones to be able to kind of live with it and get any
It
sort
sounds
of
like a
indication as far as whether
Chinese
it's actually
market,
okay.
an overseas market, like novelty at this point. It just feels like a novelty.
Is it like anytime I see pictures of that little camera, I just want to like wiggle the camera because I feel like it would wiggle. But maybe
I
it
feel like
doesn't.
I would just keep tapping it up and down, like you were saying with sliding the phone. Like,
Or it would stick out and you put it in your bag and then something would break it.
Yeah, you break it or you cut your leg, putting it in your pocket because dang, the camera was up. Yeah, this could go bad in so many different ways. But I'm curious, and if OnePlus goes that route, that would be kind of the U.S. mainstream.
It would be
more or
the
less,
U.S.
of
introduction to a Chinese or an overseas, I should say, because it's not just China, an overseas fad, which I think would be really interesting coming from OnePlus because they are a Chinese brand, a Taiwanese brand, and they're considered, a foreign brand in that sense, and to have them like bring that,
Yeah.
bring a trend from over, like I like that. It's just a nice global
brand identity.
fusing of worlds, right? Because we have like the absolutely tech obsessed overseas population, like just going crazy over these new fads, and then we're bringing them over here and kind of showing people that like, look, it's not just the iPhone that sets the precedent.
Yeah. And OnePlus is a good company to do that because they do seem to be taking risks at some point, ahead of some of the other manufacturers, and then you end up seeing that technology in other phones, at least here in the U.S.
Imagine a Verizon commercial for a pop-up camera, like what that would look like.
And just see it rotating really slowly, super close up, and that camera coming up.
On our 5G network.
I think that the scenario that scares me with any sort of like mechanical moving anything is taking a phone to the beach and taking pictures with it. And oops, I got some sand.
It's already
in the
a bad idea
mechanical
to take
things.
a phone to a beach.
You've ruined a camera or two at the beach?
No, I've never.
I have.
Yeah.
For
I've
sure. Getting sand in the.
I don't like to bring it out.
In the front lens
so
cover.
so any camera is susceptible to this. You don't need moving.
Although I guess
pieces to do
cell camera is really not, because it doesn't have any moving pieces. Like.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Get it in your earpiece or whatever, and then it just wouldn't be perfect, but it wouldn't be broken. But one of those, you get the wrong thing stuck in there. That would be a bad day. And finally, Google Glass ain't dead yet, and I know it's not dead. There's the enterprise version, and it still lives and everything like that. But we don't really hear a whole lot about Google Glass these days. Apparently, a new revision of the enterprise edition is making its way through the FCC. It's also getting benchmarked through Geekbench. And it has a Snapdragon 710 on the inside, we know, LTE capability, Bluetooth 5.0, 802.11 AC Wi-Fi, 32 megapixel 4K capable camera, so the camera still there, and 3 gigs of RAM running Oreo. And then on the outside, the only major change, I think, is the fact that it's a USB-C connector, so bravo for that. But I bring this up, Mike, because you have Google Glass.
I do. I remember coming here and enjoying my first try of it, actually, back in the day.
That's right. So have you stayed in touch with the Google Glass world? I mean, it's kind of hard to at this point, right?
It was an exciting technology that just never really
But it's doing
materialized.
Something. It still exists. It's
gonna train. It's gonna train people and help them.
Good for the enterprise for something.
Obviously, Google kind of missed the boat on that product. I think it's a cool product, but the way it was released and stuff was maybe before its time or whatever. But I see a lot of potential, certainly.
Yeah,
it was badly rolled out. It very much became.
But see, at the time, it was rolled out. It seemed well. Right? Like there was interest.
Yeah.
People were like,
so much interest.
The dialogue around it
that's different, but that's interesting. Celebrities were wearing it. Like they're in the beginning anyways, it seemed like it was being rolled out in a very kind of intriguing sort of way.
That was the problem, is celebrities were wearing it. We weren't telling people why they would want something like this in their life. That we were just saying this is what people who want to show off wear.
Yeah, and I think the privacy aspects of it kind of caught up with it.
I didn't see a LED or something on the front of that either that would be on when the camera's on.
Right.
I mean, it could still be there. We just can't see it in that picture.
Even Snapchat Spectacles had lights on the other side of it.
I mean, I think that's the critical functionality that they need to add, is a little light that's on when the camera's going.
But is that a feature that is good if you're making a consumer product, but doesn't matter as much if you're making an enterprise
It should still
product?
matter think OSHA regulations. We got to put some privacy clauses in the OSHA.
You could see.
I mean, I would like that as a feature.
Glass was lit up. I mean, you could see. They couldn't.
But you'd have to know to look for it.
Right. It wasn't right.
Not everybody was going to be that discerning and be like, oh, wait a minute, I see. Most people wouldn't even know that anything was going on until you pointed it out to them and be like, oh, yeah, I can see something bouncing back at me. I meant to bring in my Google Glass here because I need to keep it at work because I don't use it at home. I haven't used it in a really long time.
I tried it once.
So I need to at least keep it here so for days like this, I can show it off as a prop.
It's it's too
If you
bad.
want to borrow it, you can.
What would I do with it?
I don't know. I'm just saying.
I actually use the Pixel Pen you let me borrow, by the way.
Oh, good. I'm happy because I never used that thing. Let's take a break and thank the sponsor of this episode, and then we will talk about some app news and get to some email. First, this episode of All About Android is brought to you by LegalZoom. LegalZoom is here to help you with everything from trademarks to patents to becoming a corporation. All of these things are possible and made so much easier because you can take control of your future by checking out LegalZoom. They're going to help you through it. 5 things business owners can count on from LegalZoom. They're incredibly reliable, of course. They've helped over 2 million people start their own businesses. They've been helping all types of business owners over 17 years. You can't buy that kind of experience. They have it. They'll help with LLCs, S-corps, nonprofits, DBAs, and more. Offers an amazing team of helpful support ready for your questions based all over the United States. And LegalZoom is not a law firm, but they happen to have a network of independent attorneys licensed in all 50 states who are there and ready, able to help you with any legal advice that you might need. So you can review contracts, help with employment laws, advise you on many of the hurdles that pop up when you're running a business. So there are no surprises when you're running a business, especially if this is your first business, but in general, there are surprises around every corner. You're learning as you go. So it's nice to have an advocate. LegalZoom provides complete transparency with upfront pricing, customer reviews, and a satisfaction guaranteed. LegalZoom just makes things so much easier. I actually used LegalZoom well before I ever worked here at TWiT. I used it for my will to put together our last will and testament when we had our first daughter. And it was just such a great experience, super easy. We ended up with this nice big packet that's easy to store. Loved it. Check out LegalZoom.com today to see how they can make life better for you and your business. Enter AAA at checkout to save even more. That's LegalZoom.com. Enter AAA for special savings. LegalZoom, where life meets legal. And we thank LegalZoom for their support of this show. And now it's time for some app news. Just a few things.
More like exciting things you'll be able to do with apps you already use. Yeah. So Google Duo users, there's more functionality coming to it. This time it's going to be video calls through your Google Home speakers, which is kind of awesome when you think about it. So Duo audio calls is now a feature for Google Home speakers. All you have to do is say the command and then ask Duo audio call speaker person.
Or whatever the speaker is.
Let me try that again. All you have to do is call upon your assistant and say, hey, assistant, Duo audio call my mom. And then it will audio call your mother, provided that's what her name is in your contacts list on your phone. You will be able to short tap the actual device to answer and then long tap to hang up or decline if people call you, which is nice. So you won't have to take calls if you don't want to. Some folks had to reset the Mini and set it up again to get the feature, which is just standard. You know, sometimes you have to do these things with the smart speakers. Google hasn't actually officially announced this yet. So if you are wondering why maybe it's not on your smart speaker, know that's probably why.
Yeah, and
it's
it
not
sounds
really
like
out
resetting
yet.
it seems to trigger it for a lot of people. But yeah, Google,
that's how things are rolled out. Google rolls things out to smart speakers the same way it sort of does in the App Store. But there's no there's no APK you just sideload onto a smart speaker, you know?
Yeah, apparently so. So, okay, audio calls. I mean, you could already do phone calls. Now it's through
You can
Duo.
do phone calls through the Google Home Hub.
Yeah, well, you can do phone calls through any, right?
Yes.
Through any of the speakers, not just the Home Hub.
Yes, but I mean, before this, it was on display devices. And now this is on non-display devices.
Right. And so audio calls, through that as well. So, if maybe that's going to help you
Eat your
out.
heart out, Alexa. Sorry to everyone's speaker.
That's okay. They're on the other side. They deserve it. Google Podcasts getting a new episode search feature appears to be the beginnings. We've talked on the show in the past about kind of Google's long-term plan around podcasts and, doing lots of really cool things with it, like embedded search or like integrated search into episodes and stuff like that. I don't know if they're necessarily going there quite yet, but apparently they're rolling out search per episode. So if you did a search, if I'm understanding this correctly, if you did a search once it rolls out for tech, then it wouldn't just pull back a couple of shows that are tech, like it would like that one screenshot where it shows Twit down at the bottom, and or maybe it shows a show with a number of different episodes. It would actually pull back episodes from all the podcasts that it tracks that have tech in them. How is it pulling back that information? It's really hard to say. I don't know if it's metadata. I don't know if it's ripped from the description of the episode, or if they're actually going into the audio content the way that I think the long-term plan is, doing some sort of live AI-assisted transcription so that the content within the episode can be searched. That's, I think, the big kahuna, and I cannot wait for that to happen. I think that's going to be really interesting. But this seems like a step in that direction. And I don't know if it's necessarily rolled out to much more than 1% of users. So not easy to test it. I tried it on my own, and I don't have the update.
How is AI going to find the context? I forgot who posted on Twitter the other day, but I was on Twitter the other day, as I am, and someone posted about how frustrating it is to listen to a podcast in a certain category and to find that the slant in those podcasts is not at all on par with your
political bent.
Not necessarily political. This was about, I think this was about like health. So it's not exactly from your scientific point of view. It's from another scientific point of view, quote unquote. And how frustrating it is that you can't like search for whether like a podcast is like what the podcast belief systems are.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the hosts are.
Right. Where their perspective comes from, or
right,
this
like
might be a
how
health
would you
podcast,
know?
but how do you know?
How would you know all about Android frequently talks about pop culture because of me and Ron? Like, you wouldn't know that, right?
But if there were transcriptions of all of our episodes and it showed that
The
90210 came up as a topic from time to time, that would be an inference.
Rest in peace, Luke Perry.
Yeah, yes, rest in peace. That would be a signal, right? So I don't think it's impossible.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around how that's going to work because it's such a new concept. But yes, I just want to be able to search for podcasts based like, will I agree with these people or not? I mean,
I think it would be really cool to be able to search into, do like a keyword search or have a particular topic that you want to
Did these
hear
people
different
ever
perspectives
cite,
on, and then get the time code for a specific point within a specific podcast.
Yeah.
You're nodding your head furiously.
There's so much podcast content out there. I think there's
Especially
so
now.
much. It's crazy.
Especially
I
now.
think there's 600,000 podcasts I might have heard.
Oh boy. Like, you mean actual shows?
Yes.
Not counting number of episodes.
yes,
right.
media has pivoted. We're trying to make money.
So, I mean, I love to find other podcasts with the same interests. Or, recently I was looking for things to listen to about machine learning on the way up in preparation for my talk tomorrow. I would love to be able to research, exactly what I'm looking for and get, links back to things that are podcasts I can listen to. I would love it.
Could you imagine how cool it would be if like using that as an example, if you could get like debriefed, say, this is what I'm looking for, pull me back, 5 minutes of conversation, like to fill an hour and a half from all these different
little clips
plays.
from that
And you're like,
episode
boop,
about
boop.
the topic.
Although it'd probably be pretty messy in reality, but if you could kind of
Be
sharpen
messy in the
that,
beginning, and then I
that
bet
would be really awesome.
It would be like I'm watching The Expanse right now, and there's a lot of like talking to a computer and just telling it what to do without calling upon an assistant or anything. And I'm just waiting for that day.
That day will happen.
I could just say like zoom in to this like particular vector.
Enhance.
Just say enhance, and it knows exactly what I want to have enhanced.
Zoom in.
That's what we're headed towards.
Computer.
That's what we're headed towards. I think that was supposed to be the point of Bixby, but that's another conversation.
Yeah, no. As Samsung distances itself from the Bixby feature on the phone.
Yeah. Bixby was supposed to be the AI that could like order you bananas.
We'll talk about Bixby.
Yeah.
You got the next one.
Right. So this is just, again, another little tidbit for anybody out there who's using the Microsoft Excel app on Android. And actually, you would maybe be using this app if you're on your Chromebook or on Chrome OS. So Excel now lets you, it has an Android app that lets you snap a picture of a spreadsheet and import it, just like that. Voila. The data imports and auto-formats itself, just like magic, and is available to Microsoft 365 users.
That's so cool. Like the demo, I think this is where they show it. They
Those
do a little
tables, too.
crop. They took a picture of a printed out table. They did a crop. Boop. It just brings it right into. And I mean, this makes sense. Like this has to have been well, I say this not knowing the work that goes into it, but it seems to me, non-developer, to be not that difficult to do when you've got it something already formatted in a table on a piece of paper.
Right, just look for
Right?
the lines.
Right. Look for the lines, and it's easy to OCR the text and the numbers. But I'm not a developer. I realize this probably was very difficult, but it seems like it's not the most complicated theory. Right?
OCR,
Basis
right?
of starting point. Yeah, OCR. Remember when OCR was magic?
It still
Now we
is.
take
It
it for
still is
granted.
magic. It still is magic to me to be able to scan something with my camera.
It is pretty awesome. It is pretty great. Anyways, neat feature. We got an email from Frank in Palatine, Illinois, who says, is there any way to remap a button, maybe Bixby, as a mic mute button for phone calls? I really missed this from BlackBerries of past. He says, I have Tasker, and although I haven't used it much, it seems to have created a mic mute toggle, but I don't see any way to link it with BX Actions or anything of the sort. I'm hoping my S10 comes soon. And if you have a review unit, will it allow remapping for Tasker? We don't have our S10 yet. Leo and I am assuming we'll get them in in a matter of days here. We actually have a guest in studio who's watching us, Amal Kumar from Modesto. He's a leather goods crafter and makes really, really awesome leather goods. Anyways, I'm telling you this, A, because he's awesome, and B, because he is getting the S10 tomorrow. So you're very lucky. I wish I was getting mine tomorrow.
I heard that people were getting some of it.
Yeah, they're starting to go out apparently. But anyways, so Samsung has made it known that that you're going to be able to remap the Bixby button if you don't want it to do the thing that Samsung wants it to do. But we don't know if that's going to be able to be remapped to a specific task in Tasker. Frank, you mentioned BX Actions, and I did a little bit of searching around this, and I think your solution is to actually, I'm guessing you have not got the premium version. If you buy the premium version, it actually opens up a very specific Tasker integration feature for assigning that button to a specific task within Tasker. So if you've built this action within Tasker to mute the microphone on your phone, then you should be able to easily map that to the Bixby button through BX Actions. The premium version, like I said, is required to do this. It's $2.99 to get that feature. So if that feature is worth it to you. Also keep in mind that BX Actions, even the developer says on all of the documentation and the Play Store and everything, this feature could go away at any time. So just keep that in mind because Samsung could disable it because they're already doing it. But probably for the time being, you're okay. So where there is a will, there is a way. Developers are smart.
Especially in Android
Tasker
land.
is really smart. So, yeah. So there you go. I hope that helps, Frank, and I hope that does the trick. And why don't you let us know if it does or if it doesn't? We want to know. AAA@twit.tv. All right. We're going to get in the arena in a second. Before we do, let's thank the sponsor of this episode, and then we will battle it out in the arena. This episode of All About Android is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Admit it, you probably think that cybercrime is something that happens to other people. It's one of those things you hear stories about all the time. You're like, that never happens to me. I don't need to worry about it. So sad for you. Well, you may think that no one wants your data or that hackers can't grab your password or your credit card details, but you would be wrong. Stealing data from unsuspecting people on public Wi-Fi is one of the simplest and cheapest ways for hackers to make money. When you leave your internet connection unencrypted, you might as well be writing your passwords and credit card numbers on a huge billboard for the rest of the world to see. Don't do that. That's why we use, and I love ExpressVPN, to protect ourselves from cyber criminals. ExpressVPN secures and anonymizes your internet browsing by encrypting your data and hiding your public IP address. ExpressVPN has easy-to-use apps that run seamlessly in the background of your computer. It even has a kill switch on the computer, so if you lose internet access or there's a blip and the VPN goes down, it's not going to let any data pass through until it reconnects to ExpressVPN, so you don't have any surprises. And then, of course, they also have excellent apps for the phone, for the tablet. I have it on my Android TV at home. Turning on ExpressVPN protection only takes one click. Using ExpressVPN, you can safely surf on public Wi-Fi without being snooped on or having your personal data stolen. For less than $7 a month, you can get the same ExpressVPN protection that we have. ExpressVPN is rated the #1 VPN service by TechRadar. Comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Protect your online activity today and find out how you can get 3 extra months free with a 1-year package at expressvpn.com/allaboutandroid. That's expressvpn.com/allaboutandroid for 3 extra months free when you buy a 1-year package. Visit expressvpn.com/allaboutandroid and you will learn more, and we thank ExpressVPN for their support and for protecting us while we surf the internet. Thank you, ExpressVPN. And with that, it's time to duke it out. It's time for the arena.
So many enter, but only one lives. Android Arena.
So let's see here. I don't know results as of now. I'm pulling up the poll though. Let's see. View results. And we have InShot was the big winner. 40.4%. Was that your app again?
Yeah.
Dang. Are you on a roll at this point?
I'm trying this
You're
year.
doing good. Right on.
Trying to actually use the apps I bring to the app.
40.4% for Flo's app InShot. Second place was Our Groceries shopping list at 28.48%. Team guessed. Third place was Steppy Pants, so at least I wasn't last place. 15.89%. And then fourth place, 99 Bricks Wizard Academy at 15.23%. So that means Wade County came through. Thank you, Wade County, as always, in the chat room. The arena through week 8. Flo, you are in the lead. 27 points, Flo. Right on. Guests are 26, so the pressure's on, Mike. Ron is 16 and I'm 15. So I'm not Ron being out could be the best thing that ever happened to me because it could mean that no matter what, I come out ahead of him. So we'll see. So Flo, that means you are going after,
I'm going
after
last.
us. I'm going first. Let me prepare. Okay. So let's see here. Are we ready? Okay. My app this week is a game, and it is called Squealings. And it's a free game, no ads, no in-app purchases. A developer just made this really cute, adorable puzzle game that is all about giving hugs.
Wow.
And it does a really good job. Like, the game is actually a lot of fun and apparently does not want any money for it because it's completely free. So you have no reason not to check it out. It's called Squealings. These are all little squealings. And basically, you have different types of squealings. And there's a whole walkthrough that kind of guides you through how this game works. The yellow squealings, they're just there. The blue squealings, they need hugs. And you can kind of see they're maybe a little sad. The red squealings really need hugs, right? So what you do is you actually plan. So I've given 0 hugs, and I need to do it in 3 hugs. You plan who you give your hugs to so that it spreads and gets all of the red squealings, gives all of them a hug.
All the jerks.
Yeah, you give all the angry squealings a hug in the end. So if I tap that blue one, boop, 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 that wasn't very good. I still have a whole lot. And it kind of like, it blooms out from the squealing that you tap. So that's probably a good one because it's going to get all those red ones. Boom. There's no way in one hug I can get them. Maybe if I do that one, It'll spread all the way through, but it's not going to get down to that one for sure. And I'm left, and I didn't quite
That was pretty
get
good.
It was okay. How do I get back, though? I want to go back to the main menu. Oh, it's probably that. Thank you. I wasn't following their design thing. Let's see. Let's do one that I know I definitely solved, although in the heat of the moment, it's sometimes hard for me to remember how I solved it. So I have 3 hugs to give. Let's do that one maybe. Okay. And maybe that one. And okay, and I think I'm good. I will get it, and yay! They all got hugged. I already earned a coin on this level, but that was just to show you what it's like to give all of the squealings on the screen a hug. And that's really what it's all about. It's got really a nice kind of visual style to it. Kind of gives you these little, every once in a while it gives you little jokes in between levels. I feel like it's a game that was just kind of designed to put you in a good mood. The characters are kind of lovable, and the idea of just like spreading hugs throughout. Yeah, it's lovey, it's dovey, but it's also free and completely free and a lot of fun. It's a true authentic puzzle game. So you'll spend some times getting frustrated because you can't pass the level. Did I do it? Hey, I did it. I did it in one hug. Boom. It's called Squealings, and you can find it in the Play Store now. And I think this is one of those games that is low installs. Let's see here. It is, at this time, it is 500-ish installs.
Be one of the first.
Yes, be one of the first to give a hug to a squealing. Would you? It's called Squealings. Okay, Mike, you're up next.
All right.
Show it off right here. And tell us about it.
I have never won a App Arena in all my time, except for way back in the day when my app was featured in the App Arena. And
well, then you won the right one.
Right. I mean, obviously that one, I knew the app really well. I was able to defend it, but I've never had much success. But this time, I hope I will. So I always want to pick like an app that kind of helps an independent developer. That's kind of my goal. As a developer myself, I know how important that is.
Support your devs.
Support my devs, support our devs, and help support the community. So I was super happy to see that Francisco Franco did not have any apps suggested yet, and our friend Liam Spradlin as well. Both of those guys work together. I've actually been on All About Android with Liam once. Super great guy, super visually. Both of those developers,
super talented.
Both of those, that team is really talented and really knows how to create really simple apps that are easy to use and do one thing really well.
Yep.
So the app that I wanted to show of theirs is called 5217. And it's a really simple app. If you guys are familiar with the Pomodoro method, it's exactly the same thing as Pomodoro, where it forces you to work for a certain amount of time and then take a break. So Pomodoro is 40 minutes and a 15-minute break, I think. What 5217 is 52 minutes with a 17-minute break, because the research that these people did discovered that that's actually a more effective way to get to be productive and get things done. So that's 5217. So there really isn't too much to the app. It just creates a countdown timer. We'll put information in your notification bar telling you how much time you have left, and then it will give you a little timer when it's time to go. The app is completely free, and it works in this mode with 5217. It's full featured. It does everything. It also keeps track of your stats and tells you how many cycles you completed, how many breaks you took. If you want to, the only thing you can do to pay for an upgrade is if you want to change the timer cycle to Pomodoro, for instance, you can pay to upgrade, literally nominal $2 fee to set custom timers. So that's it. Really simple. I kind of prefer the time cycle of Pomodoro, 40 minutes. So I probably will upgrade just to be able to do that. The nature of creating timer apps in Android is really hard. They do a bunch of restrictions on background operations and things. So to be able to create a timer that works and does what you expect is not as simple as it would seem. And then to create something that's elegant and really clean is also not that simple. So kudos to them for creating just a really nice, pretty app that is full-featured, free, and just a really awesome app.
It told me to keep working. I only have 52 minutes left. So 52 more minutes of this show, and then we will get a break of 17 minutes. And so, do you work within the Pomodoro method? This is
I
something
do
that
like
I've seen
to.
a lot, but I've never actually put it. To
I
the
do
test.
like to. I'm super ADHD and get distracted so easily, and I find that actually Pomodoro does kind of keep me focused. I do love to do that. I don't
Because those
always.
breaks are meant to kind of give you a little bit of time to refresh. I think so many people think, well, I'm just going to work through for the next 4 hours. We're going to get so much done. But at some
Or 8
point,
hours.
you kind of, or 8 hours, yeah, exactly.
It also keeps me focused for the 40 minutes because
Yeah.
it's so easy to, go off to Facebook or whatever.
Sure.
So like, okay, and the way Pomodoro
it's
works
your
is usually
process.
pick a task that's you can accomplish in 40 minutes. So you kind of plan your day that way. And,
Okay.
It is a great process. Of course, I'm not as good about it as I could be,
Right.
because I'm not as productive as I could
Life's
be. But
journey.
right.
Life is a highway. I'm going to ride it all night long. Is that how that song goes? Anyways.
I was really wondering where that was going to go.
No? Sorry. Oh, man.
No, I know what that song
where's
is.
the
I
mute-
just didn't know
where's
if
the
those
mute
were the right
button?
lyrics. I was trying to.
I'm kind of happy I didn't get the right lyrics, actually. What do you have today?
What do I have? So I brought the Brave browser to the arena today.
Oh, that's brave.
Now, the Brave browser is based on Chromium, which is awesome. It was recently updated to Chromium 72, the latest version of Chromium 72. Last update was on the 25th of February, so last week. And so the thing about Brave browser that's awesome is, when you're using Chrome sometimes, or whatever the default browser is on your phone, sometimes it's just slow. And the other bummer is when you go and check into your data usage and you see that Chrome is the reason that you almost hit your data cap for the month. And, you can't go and data saver every single web page. So why not just have a browser that does it for you? So Brave is here to help not only kind of cut down on all those things that are loading in the background, but also to kind of help you browse a little more safely and to not have to contend with all the pop-ups and trackers that exist on the internet. So Brave is, your standard browser. It goes here to google.com by default, which is really nice. When you go into the settings, it looks exactly like the Chrome browser, including the menu is all very much the same, including, desktop site, the ability to add a page to your home screen, that sort of thing. When you pop into the settings, again, it looks very similar to the Chrome settings that you're used to. It shows you, you can pick where a tab opens, you could pick your search engine, you can store your passwords as you would, your payment methods, addresses, all that good stuff. There's also a sync ability that allows, you're going to have to allow it to take pictures and record video. But this allows you to sync bookmarks data privately between Brave browsers on your various devices. So if you decide that you want to use this browser on Chrome OS, for instance, in addition with your Android device, you can, which is nice. And this is going to require a sync code, which is very secure. Compared, because that is the whole point of this browser, is that it's supposed to help you feel brave on the internet. So now, okay, we're going on the internet. So I looked up Nordstrom because I noticed every time I go on Nordstrom to check out and see what's on sale, there's a tracker. Because Nordstrom, they have a tracker out there. So when you click on a link from a Kinja deal, it will track you to see what you're buying, right? So it can deliver you ads and stuff. All right, so I'm gonna go to Nordstrom. Oh yay, I get to shop. How exciting for me. So I want to know what's going on this website. So I can tap here on the little Brave icon, which is a little lion, and it will tell me how many ads and trackers are on the site. Brave uses HTTPS everywhere, which helps encrypt data traffic. It also does script blocking, not by default though, so you will have to hit that. And then once you hit that, it'll show you how many scripts it's blocked. Wow. There's also a thing called the fingerprint method, which fingerprinting protection, and that's to protect your fingerprint if you're using that to access a site, I believe. I haven't actually used it, so I could be completely butchering this, and I apologize to the developer, but I'm assuming that that's what it stands there for. So this has a whole bunch of different things going on. Let's go to my website and see how I'm tracking you. Sorry.
Oh, no. Wow. You are very brave to turn brave
Yes.
on your own website.
I know. Okay, so I have 4 ads and trackers on my site. Listen, girls got to use Google Analytics here, okay? And yeah, your friend Flo, she does have an Amazon tracker on there because maybe you want to buy something with her code. Helps a girl out. So you could see what's going on my website. Maybe you want to go to I don't want to call out any sites. So what's a site I could call out? Let's see. How about
CNN?
How about CNN? Exactly. Thank you. Okay, great. So we'll go to CNN.com. I'm just going to type in CNN because there we go. Okay, great. So, that's great. This is why we can't go to CNN during showtime.
Yeah, true. I picked a bad.
Oh my gosh. There's nothing on here. Okay, let's put it on Avalanche. Okay, there we go. That should be palatable. So 33 ads and trackers going on for you right there. Let's block some scripts. 56 scripts blocked.
Put on the fingerprint protection.
We're going to put the fingerprint protection. Oh, 56 scripts block after I did that. And then when you go to the website, you're just left with the categories. But, Brave is a good... Listen, the whole point of this browser is to cut down on what's going on in the background, to cut down on how much data you're using, to just keep it all on the simplicities of web browsing, to block pop-ups immediately. Maybe you do have to go to shady sites out there on the internet that have a lot of pop-ups because you really want the utility. So that's when you would use Brave Browser.
So fingerprinting protection. I figured it out. It's not your actual fingerprint. Okay. This deals with browser fingerprinting. So as an example, detection of the browser or the operating system that you're using, ways that sites can track who you are in other ways, like detecting the browser that you're using, just as one example. So this
your digital fingerprint.
Yes,
that's what it's protecting.
your kind of configuration that you're browsing on being the fingerprint. Some sites will actually pick up pieces of that, and that could track you. Turning this on will break certain sites.
There you go.
Maybe
Another reason to use
CNN.
Brave. Another reason to use Brave. So
that's like a nuclear option. Like you really don't want to be tracked. Yeah.
And if you really don't want to, you could do that on Brave. That's the whole point of the browser, is to help you bravely browse the internet. And I think this is a browser that's going to stay on my Android device and on my Chromebook because, I was using Firefox Focus Go, but I just found the interface to not be so wonderful with Chrome OS.
Yeah.
So I think this will be a better alternative.
Yeah, I like Brave Browser a lot. Good work. Good pick. Brave Browser. Do a search for it. You'll find it. It's in there and it's free. So it's in there. twit.to/AAA-poll410 is the place to go. twit.to/AAA-poll410 to place your vote for your favorite app this week. Is it Squealings 5217 or Brave Browser? There you go. Victor is thinking very, very hard about which one he's going to select, and he goes with privacy.
Victor
he goes
would
with
like to
the Brave
safely
browser,
browse the internet,
I think. And so far, he is the only. Well, apparently it didn't take your vote.
Well, we appreciate your attempt.
There we go. I think. Maybe it'll refresh at some point. All right. We'll check in on this next week and see where things land. See if Flo maintains her lead or Team GG and G
I hope so.
pushes out ahead. Your contender, Mike. And Mike, thank you for coming up and taking time. I don't know if you had to extend your trip to make it happen, but we are so thrilled. Anytime you're in the area, please just let us know.
I need to give a shout out to Chuki Chan. She's the reason I'm here. She was up a few weeks ago. I'm like, hey, I should go do that. So, hi, Chuki.
Chuki's
Thanks
awesome.
for the suggestion.
And thank you, Chuki, for helping me in the Animal Crossing Pocket Camp Flower Tournament that's going on right now.
She helped you in that too? No,
Well, we play Animal Crossing together.
I know. Everybody. What am I going to thank Chuki for? Thanks for coming on the show a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
really appreciate it. Thank you, Chuki. And thank you for coming on, Mike. Tell people. So, MikeWolfson.com. What else do you want?
MikeWolfson.com. Follow me on Twitter at Mike Wolfson or wherever. That's it.
You'll find me wherever fine Mike Wolfsons are sold. Thanks again. And let us know. Google I/O, I'm sure we will bump into each other. But leading up to that, once things are kind of finalized and everything, as far as all, your travel or whatever, let me know if you want to come on. We'd love to have you.
Thanks. Yeah.
Do the post IO or pre IO. I don't. Yeah. However it works out. And what's going on with you?
What's going on with me?
Other than now you know how many trackers are on your site.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Listen, I disclose it all to you, okay? And I have a GDPR pop-up that comes up for my European folks. But seriously, I'm actually scaling back a little bit from the website because I realize it's a lot of work.
It is.
When you also have other work to do.
It is.
So what I have done is I've started my own Discord server. So if you're interested in chatting with me safely and chatting in a safe space about tech and kind of finding out what I'm doing, what I'm up to. This year, I'm incubating on a lot of projects, and I'd love to share it with you all as I'm in the stages of working on them. And the best way I think I could do that is through a chat app that I can jump into and jump out of. There's a link floating around my Twitter page. So that's what I'm not going to paste it. I'm just going to say it. Go check it out, and I will be, you'll find it eventually.
That flow on Twitter.
That flow on Twitter. And then, of course, keep visiting me at florenceion.com just to see where I'm writing and where I'm at. And check out Lifehacker later this week because I have a story going up.
Nice.
So that's what's going on with me this week.
Thank you, Flo.
Thank you.
Thank you, Victor, for everything that you do.
No problem.
And thank you, Alex, for looking bored. And thank you.
I don't think Alex looks bored, by the way. I think he looks focused.
Menacing.
He looks focused.
Yeah,
he's listening to us.
He's concentrating.
Contemplative.
On us. Good. And thank you, Amal, for coming in. Anyone can come in and watch us live if you would like to. Tickets at twit.tv. You can find me all over the Twit network. I'm actually going to be in San Francisco tomorrow night. We're doing an RSA kind of post RSA wrap up with LastPass. So we're going to be at Bourbon and Branch. So I would check out inside or twit.tv for more information on that. Oh, hello, Finger.
Sorry.
What's up?
By the way, I forgot to mention I'm doing the review for the Galaxy Buds.
Oh, yes.
This week.
So is that going to be on Hands on Tech?
Yeah, I'm coming in tomorrow to record it.
Okay, so that'll probably be on Hands on Tech by the end of the week, I would imagine.
Sorry, I just wanted to interrupt you to talk about me.
It's okay. Anytime. But that's it for this week. No more interruptions. You can leave us a voicemail at 347-SHOW-AAA. Put the finger down. Put the fingers down. AAA at twit.tv if you want to send us an email. You can't interrupt an email. Just send it, and it gets sent. Arena Apps List can be found at twit.to/Android apps. You can find all of our show notes and past episodes at twit.tv/AAA. But look, if you aren't subscribed, that's what you really need to do, because then you don't have to work. You don't have to work so hard for our episodes. They appear like magic for you. And that's the beauty of podcast and RSS. So go to twit.tv/AAA. There you will find all the information that you need to subscribe to this show, or just do a search in Pocket Cast or iTunes or wherever it is you get your podcasts. We are there. And you can catch us live every Tuesday starting around 5 p.m. Pacific at twit.tv/live. That's it for this week. We'll see y'all next week on another episode of All About Android. Bye, everybody.